Hello everyone. Today we are having Mr. Vipin Abraham from United Kingdom. He is working as biomedical manager at Bedford Hospital in UK. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, can you please explain about your role as a biomedical manager in hospital there?
Okay. Firstly, thank you for giving the opportunity to come for this kind of YouTube interview, which is really appreciated. Also, just as a role of manager, I currently work in a 450 bedded hospital. So in terms of that, what my major role is basically in providing clinical technical support to all aspects of clinical engineering. So basically, that is from preventive maintenance to inspection to repair to calibration of a wide range of medical equipments, which is safe and which is basically we are assuming basically that the medical device is safe and in a serviced in a professional manner in accordance with the departmental procedures, trust policies, and also the MHRA policy. So MHRA is called as the Medicine Healthcare Regulatory Agency. So it's like the overall governing body in the UK. So we actually follow their procedure. There's like a booklet which we follow, and that's very important. And secondly, what my other role is also, I allocate all the jobs to all my engineers on a monthly basis. I think we'll come to that as a KPI, I think, but just a brief thing. So allocation to all the engineers. So basically, I look after the jobs, anything which is coming due for this month, like in terms of service, repairs, and also assisting the. So I've got a medical device manager above me. So I assist him in terms of making policies, to review the policies, and also supporting him in any sort of big procurement processes in the hospital. So that is one thing, and I think also I do an annual appraisal on all of my engineers. Basically, I set their targets and objectives for the following year. So it is a wide range of job description I do basically, because it's very important because I have to look after my staff and also to look after their jobs and also to make sure that they are doing the right way of servicing and repairing rather than just doing anything, because we also follow the service instructions as per the manufacturer guidelines. So in terms of service, so all that is important, and I think we also have regular meetings every month, all the team together. So and we make sure that everybody is doing good in terms of service and repairs. So I think that is my brief. So.
Okay, so when I planned this session, one of the major inquiry received was about the job opportunities people are having in UK. So can you please explain about the different opportunities biomedical engineer having there? I know that as per our last discussion, there are many biomedical engineers from India alone working there. So there are two aspects.
Yes.
One, there is people working after completing their study, and there are people, those who got residence for maybe their family in that aspect. And I just want to know, is there any possibility we can directly apply for jobs in UK from India? Is that possible? So can you please briefly explain about all this?
Sure. So basically, I think so one of the major concerns, I think it is basically when people try to apply directly from India, the issue is sometimes employers here, because of the visa they structured here, it is very difficult to get a job directly. But I've seen people, and because I know a couple of my friends who've come here and then on a student visa they've applied, and then you have an opportunity called as post-study work visa. So you get 2 years on top of your student visa. So basically, at that time, what happens is you are free to look for a job anywhere. So that is how I think that is the best way you can actually get a job in this country. Because if you take from my experience, I've been here in the country for now almost 10 years. So when I came here, I came on a student visa. Yeah. And then what I did is I had got my post-study work after finishing my M.B.A. in healthcare management. So once I got the post-study work visa, I used to do free, basically like job in hospital. Like, basically it was just to get that experience. And most people will not be eager to do that because you're not getting the money. So definitely you need the money to survive. So I did that for like 6 months in a hospital, and and the manager over there, he was South African at that time, so he was helping me a lot. He was giving £50 a week as well just to overcome this. So but later I was getting that experience on my CV. So when I was getting that experience, I was in a kind of where I could literally start looking for a job because I was getting that exposure. So once you know the processes, the way the hospital is working, the policies and procedures, then other hospitals will start taking you because you've got that experience. So, and that is how basically I gained that, and then within 6 month time, I was able to get a job, um, another job, and then slowly what and one of the biggest people who actually gives you job in this country is the NHS, is the National Health Service, because they employ a lot of people in this country. It's a big organization, and they definitely will have the capability to provide you visa because they employ nurses, doctors from every country in the world. And as soon as you get a job there, you can always speak to the manager, and I think that is the best way out. I mean, direct application, like you mentioned, it is sometimes a bit difficult because when you have a lot of applications coming in, they always take the preference for people who are in the country first, rather than trying to take away people first. So if there's no people in the country, then they might give you a preference. Sometimes they will look, okay, that's fine. They'll say, okay, we can take this person, but it is very difficult. So
It's not that easy. And the other method I have seen, there are people, there are people visiting there with the dependents. So maybe some of their family
yes.
members will be there.
Yes, so basically, I've seen a lot of people as well who come in this country as a dependent for like spouse. Basically, they come in terms of like whose wife is a nurse, and then they have the visa to stay for 2 years. And for those people also, it's easy. It's not difficult at all, because what happens is you got the visa, then you just need the experience. And if you got background of experience like clinical engineers back from India, then they will look into it, because there is a shortage of engineers around because there's a lot of jobs going on. It's sometimes it is just like hitting the right note. Actually you send the manager a request and saying, look, I've got this experience, can you please look into it? And it all depends on that, and definitely is luck, because it's a gamble game.
Yeah, and I just want to add one more question here. One of the
Sure.
recent Korea I received was one of the person was planning, to get into Canada. I'm not interrupting, but I just want to tell an example. So it
Yeah,
was
sure.
like he has a good background. He's a very well experienced working in a good company. But
Yeah,
unfortunately, the companies in Canada is not preferring him only because he is not present in Canada. So he was just checking
yeah.
with me that whether it is possible for going higher studies, maybe 1 year, any such courses, and I can
Yeah.
parallelly apply for jobs. So is there any similar thing we can do in UK?
So in terms of that, I think like because of that criteria, you can, I mean, if you can do course here, definitely, because when you do a course in masters in biomedical or any course relating to healthcare, I think you definitely will have an opportunity, because what happens is your visa is important, because all the employees, they look for the easy way out rather than looking for like hard way, because they have to like sponsor. It is a long process for them, because they think it's a long process. It is not difficult, because I've done people's visa as well sometimes. It's just like to help them basically. And then because the thing is, the people here are very self-centered. They're like, okay, why do we have to do this for this person? They always think that way. And you'll get nice people out there who actually help you, and I think that is the important thing, I think.
Okay, so presently you are working in UK. So I just want,
Yeah.
other than hospital, can you just explain about the different opportunities biomedical engineers are having there? Maybe in companies, the different roles are available.
Yeah. So definitely all the big companies, they are here. I mean, like GE Healthcare, Philips, then you have Siemens, then you have Draeger. So you have all the big companies in UK. But one of the major drawbacks, and since I've been here, is they don't take people on a visa. First thing, okay, they don't consider, because the reason is it's some companies don't have that infrastructure to do it, because they got people from EU, European Union, or if they've got people from UK, they would prefer that. But in terms of jobs now, they have a wide range of jobs here. Definitely, there's shortage of jobs. I mean, there's shortage of people. So they have like field service engineers in different companies. Then there is jobs like finance side of things, procurement. Then there is jobs for medical devices, like R&D, research and development. And then they have apprenticeship. So basically, apprenticeship is like something which you come in as a starter, and then they give you experience to start. So you can, I mean, there's some kids or some people who have actually finished masters in biomedical, and then they have taken the route to go into big companies. But those are those people who are born and brought up here. Like I know like my employee, one person, he's done his masters from Bristol University, and then he had a bit of experience in Siemens working on internship, and now he's joined NHS because he wants to gain the NHS experience, and then he'll go back later on. So there are people who come from various other places, once they get some more experience, and then go back to private. So private, it's an open field. I mean, there's no harm in applying. There's people applying for it all the time, and it's again based on the management, and also it's based on how they value your criteria and experience as well.
Okay, so I was asking whether we can directly apply for a job. So is there any possibility we can do the visiting visa, like if we are usually people go to Dubai and all as a visiting visa? Is there any such possibility there?
No. So basically, so they clearly mention on the visa that you're not supposed to work. So that is the problem here. So as soon as you apply, the visiting visa is for 6 months. You can stay for 6 months in the country. But the thing is, it clearly says on the visa you're not supposed to work. And then when employers, they look at it, they will see, oh, you're a visiting visa, then you shouldn't be applying for a job. But what happens is sometimes they will say, okay, if when they're desperate, some they'll say you have to go back to the country, apply for a tier 2. So tier 2 is basically called a work permit. That is what tier 2 is. So tier 2 visas now I think the government is giving more to people like us because of Brexit. Now Brexit is one of the big features now, has helped people like from India, Pakistan, other countries to apply. Because what happens before, European Union people used to come in a lot in this country, and then all the jobs they used to take. But now because European Union has gone out, people from European countries have gone back to the country. So now what happens is the job market has become a bit more open, like it's gone out to the world. So in that sense, you can, as soon as an employer, they're happy with it, they will ask you to go back to the country, apply for tier 2 and come back again on tier 2 visa. So tier 2 visa is for 3 years or 5 years. It depends on how the employer wants to give you. And after 5 years, you can apply for indefinite leave to remain, which is your ILR. And then you can apply for your British citizenship after 1 year. So that's how it is.
Okay, so mostly it is better to go for studies and try for jobs after that, right?
Yes. That is my personal opinion.
Okay, so how this visa conversion coming up? So when we are going for higher studies, it will be student visa, right? So after completing the course, the company will provide us visa, or the government will provide us? How is
the government will provide us the visa. So there's something called as post-study work now, because they want to keep the bright people in the country, like to keep the best. So what they do is they give, after studies, they have something called post-study work. So you can stay for another 2 years, and within that 2 years time, you can apply anywhere. So that visa is not restricted. So you can just give application everywhere. And then again, it's the experience then comes into it, because sometimes companies, they'll say, oh, you haven't got UK experience. So you'll say, oh, it's a bit of a problem there. So then they will say, okay, you know what, do some volunteering, or maybe do some kind of work experience somewhere to get that experience, and then you can join. So there is opportunities. It's up to the individual how they come and do the hard work here. And it's not easy, because sometimes people think that in the other side, oh, UK is very easy life. You come here, get a job, you get a lot of money, you get a house. But it is the difficult side of things.
Yeah, when comes to Germany and all, I know the tax rate is a little bit high, sir. So what is the situation in the UK?
So the UK is definitely 20% tax on your pay. So if you whatever pay you get, they take 20% of it. And then you have NI, national insurance. So they take national insurance. And then definitely if you are enrolled in a government organization, you'll have pension schemes as well. So pension scheme also, they take around a monthly around 300, 350 pounds from that as well. So that's up to you. I mean, if you don't want to do pension and you think that you want to go back after some time, you don't have to enroll in pension. You can get that money also and use it on a monthly basis for your day-to-day life activities. But it's 20%. And then there is another thing as well. If your salary is getting more than 45k in a year, basically per annum, 45 to 50, I think it's about 50, I think. If you get that, you basically will have to pay 40% tax.
Okay.
So the problem is the more you earn, the more they will take. So eventually when the salary comes out, you'll be half.
You were talking about insurance part also. So the 20% includes this insurance amount also, or it is something extra we need to pay?
No. So the 20% is basically including everything. So NI pay and everything, NI insurance, then you have 20% onto it. So it includes all of that. So when you get a pay slip, you can actually see what they have taken from NI insurance. Then they have 20% tax onto it. So everything that includes together.
Okay. And so you are telling this much tax is there. So what is the average salary we can expect in UK after completing our masters, or the general average salary, maybe in companies or in?
Okay, so I mean, if you're a new starter, you've just finished your engineering degree, you're roughly looking at starting from £20,000 per year. So and it goes up. Then so basically 20,000, then 25, then 30,000, 35, and then if you're a management level, it goes up to 40 to 45. And then of course there are people who are above me, like who's got like board level members. Then 60k you're looking at. But again, it depends on certain companies. So like NHS this is the pay scale, and in NHS we have something called banding. So basically band 2, band 3, band 4, band 5, band 6, band 7, band 8. So it goes like that. So in each banding there is the salary, what do you say, kind of like a gap. So like for example, band 5 is from 25,000 to 30,000. And then band 6 starts at like 30, 35 to 31 to 40. So it starts like 38,000. So basically what happens is once, if for example, if the individual starts at 31, then every year it keeps going up to 38, and then it stops at 38. So once it stops at 38, then you are the top of the band. And then what happens is then you don't have an opportunity to go more higher until unless the government decides every year to increase that inflation. Because inflation goes up every year, isn't it? Because of how the prices. So what they do is they will give you, okay, let's increase the wages this year for another 2% up. And then what happens is 38 goes up to 39 or to 40, like that. But that is up to the government. So if the government says, no, we can't do this every year, inflation, this is your fixed money, 38,000, then you're stuck. Then you have to apply for a band 7 somewhere else to get the next higher up. And then what happens is sometimes, when you apply for jobs, it's not necessary you will get the job. Again, that's up to the individual. But this is how the banding works. And private is different. So private, basically, if I go for a job, it's how I negotiate. Okay. Like, if I've got experience, if I've got 8 years experience, I go down like, if you, for example, you're the employer, I'll just say to you, I need 40,000. And then you will look at my CV and says, okay, that's fine. You got years of experience. It's okay. I can give you. Then they will negotiate as well. They'll say, okay, no, can we just bring it down to like 35,000? Are you okay with that? And then we can give you on top of that, like car, and they give you basically it's like a allowance on top of it, car allowance. Yeah. So.
Okay, so I know that you are working in a hospital. So I just want to know the department structure. Yeah. Is it a biomedical department? In India, we have mostly biomedical department. When I had a session with US people, it was like a clinical department. They have different, people comes under clinical department. So how this comes to UK?
So basically, I can say from my hospital and other hospital as well, because I've seen around. So basically, in my hospital, I have got 2 bed engineers, electromechanical engineers, who look after all the beds and hoists and trolleys and plinths and all that. Then I've got 1 engineer who's purely based on anesthetics and ventilation. So he's an anesthetic and ventilator engineer, and he does a bit of monitoring as well, critical care monitoring. Then I've got other three biomeds. So biomeds, they look after the other parts of the hospital. So basically, they look after all the infusion pumps, which is a majority of the hospital. Then they have like cardiac monitoring as well of the hospital. Then also they have like stuff like the ops monitors, basic monitoring, and then small things basically. So and also like maternity side of things, CTG machines and things like that. So all that is looked after by the biomeds, and then we have the other people as well. So in many hospitals this is the same structure, but some hospitals they only have like they're not divided it into different. They've just become like one biomed department,
Just like in India,
where
most.
they have exactly most of them. And the thing is, the other thing is, some hospitals have R&D as well, just to because big
Okay.
hospitals like what is one hospital called University College of London, which is really big, and they have an R&D department, so they make devices according to the needs of the customers, and they have all the bigger tools as well, like in terms of like making, shaping, and all that kind of thing. So that is a small hospital do not have it. Like 450 bedded hospital is really small. Those you're looking at 1,000, 2,000 bedded hospital, so they're very big. So they'll have a big, massive department as well. Like I know one hospital in Birmingham, they have around 45 engineers.
Oh,
So just it's a very big hospital, and they actually have a lot of engineering people in there. So it varies. It varies on the size of the hospital.
okay. And when comes to the importance and work culture, so how do you look into the importance of biomedical department in each hospital?
Biomedical engineers is very important in a hospital, of course, because there was one stage, and I know from my predecessor who was here, my previous managers, they used to say that, and they're all very old school because they're very old English people, and they used to say to me that when initially hospitals were there, they never used to have a biomedical engineering department. And the process is they used to have a lot of issues because the thing is, the safety of the patient, then also the servicing, the technology applications, all that was just stranded. So basically, there's nobody to look after all these things. And that's when the government decided, yes, we need to have, biomedical engineering and also to incorporate them into the hospital. And then what happened is that's when slowly every hospital in this country started having biomedical. So it is a very important role because we actually support the clinical staff in every aspect. So in terms of like from buying equipment to like repairing, servicing, and then disposing them as well. So it's a major role. So like if, for example, even just to brief on that, my role was even to help clinicians to decide what equipment they need to buy as well, and then also to support them, like if they like GE, for some GE monitoring. Like last week I just ordered like around 50 monitors for my ICU and theaters, and then we had like a comprehensive what do you say, trialing process, where we sit down with different suppliers. We make sure what the clinicians want, trial the equipment first. If they like it, then only we go for the purchase. So even for purchasing, you're roughly looking at like 800K. It's a big, massive purchase for the whole equipment. And so the old equipments, then we dispose them, or dispose or auction them basically. And that's what it comes to India, maybe Pakistan as well. So that's how.
Yeah, and you are purchasing all those equipment. So when looking into the cost versus revenue aspect, biomedical
Yeah,
department is always a department which spend lots of money. So in that
money. Yeah.
aspect, whether it is a burden to hospital management, or how they are looking into the biomedical department's role on this.
So yeah, definitely it is not a burden because I think we need, I mean, especially in this country, devices keep changing every 7 years. So, and this is what the lifespan of devices basically. It's based on the manufacturer recommendation. Okay, so after 7 years, the technology keeps changing every 7 years, and then what happens is new products are coming in the market. And especially in UK, what I've seen is they don't much bother about the money because they just want what is important for the patient safety. That is what is important. And the thing is, when, for example, last week I had a meeting with one of our senior anesthetics consultant. He straight away said, I don't need the worst one. I need the best quality device in the market. And for the best quality device, you need to pay money, 100%. You won't get it cheap. So what happens is, and then like, for example, it's no offense to any companies. I'm not saying to anybody. Mindray, if you got a Mindray as well, Mindray basically here they don't like Mindray here because I mean some hospitals take it because the reason is it's 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 a good quality device, 100%. But then what happens is the price is also like minimal kind of thing, and it's within par. And then, but if you compare with G is here,
Yeah.
and then they are kind of between here, but they are coming to this point now. So what happens is when consultants straight away said, "Oh, I don't want this. I want G,
They want
and I
premium
want
products.
something." They want premium products, and then they don't care about the money. The money is not important. I mean, what is patient, what the patient wants, that is what they look into it, and then they start buying equipment. So definitely, you're looking 1 million sometimes worth of equipment coming to the hospital, and the technology. And then what happens every 7 years, they review it, they look at it, they'll say, okay, if the manufacturer says, oh, we can't support this device anymore after 7 years, then they will start for looking for replacement again.
Okay.
So it is a rolling program all the time.
Yeah. And currently you are working as a biomedical manager. I'm sure that you will be doing the performance analysis of your subordinate.
Yeah.
So when it comes
Yeah.
to the KPI, so what are the factors you are looking into the performance of a biomedical engineer?
So first and foremost, we have a database called as the equip database. That's what we use in like in my hospital, but many other hospitals they use different ones, EMAT, this thing. What I currently do is every month I pull out the report of every engineer. So I look at the staff production basically. So I look how much hours they've utilized on each particular device, because sometimes some devices only requires half an hour service, some requires 3 hours service, like anesthetic machine maybe 3 4 5 hours servicing, and and also so that is important. Like we are trying to minimize wherever the big problems are, like trying to make it so that wherever there is a big issue we try to spend more time, and wherever there's a smaller issue we try to fix it. So that is what the staff production looks at. So it looks at the number of hours we do every day. So here I think every week we have 37 and a half hours. That is what entitled time to work. 7.5 hours is a day per day we use for each engineers to look. So that 7.5 hours in a day, we make sure the engineer is working. Like they are actually looking at, closing jobs. They are going around in the hospital, repairing something, servicing as well. So what I've done is I've divided the team into two different. So I've done one team for service, one team for repairs, and every month they keep swapping. So like this, the service team will do repairs and the repairs will do service. So in that case, they're doing everything, and the thing is all these biomeds, they are trained on cross trained basically. So they know like infusion pumps, monitoring everything, they will know, the whole team knows. And then what I do is I just supply them the list every month. So I say, this is your service for this month, this is your repairs for this month. And then what happens when the job gets allocated to all these people through the system, every month I can pull out each and every one's KPIs, and I can see the amount of hours they have utilized as well in each device. It's like service or repairs, something.
Yeah,
And then it goes up.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
sure.
just want to clarify the service you are talking about, the preventive maintenance stuff or stuff like that. Or
Yes. So basically, it is so we do the preventive service and the repairs, the corrective repairs. So basically, so corrective repairs is something which we need to go around the hospital. Like, for example, if a ward calls, they say that something is broken, then what we do is we send one of the engineers who's actually from the repair team to go and fix the repairs. And then they come back, they open a job on themselves. On for example, if it's me, I'll open a job of mine, I'll close the work done tab, and then the job is closed on the database. And similar thing with preventive, when you allocate the job to them, there must be like around 300 ppms due in 4 wards or something. So these people go up to the wards, complete all the PMs in every kit, come back, and then close all the jobs. So to make it easier, what also I've done is basically I have divided the whole hospital into like 4 wards in a month. So basically, yeah, so it makes easier. So what happens is like January, it'll be 5 wards, February be like 5 wards, another 5 wards. So what they do is that 5 wards, they have to go and finish all the PMs in that 5 wards. from suction machine, defib to everything, and
Yeah.
definitely training will be provided. So that's what we do.
Yeah, this is what I want to ask. Regarding the PM, you were telling your engineers will do the PM. So is there any company trained engineers do the PM, or everything will be doing by the biomedical people working there?
So there is something called external PPMs as well. We have, so external PPMs is something which most of the other devices like X-ray machines, MRI scanners, and all that, the bigger ones, they have been outsourced to these companies, the big companies. So now in external PPMs as well, we have sometimes there is third-party companies as well, not just major companies. Like I don't know whether you've heard of Althea. So Althea is another company. They actually they take services, but they be cheaper than the manufacturers. For example, if I say GE to do all the ultrasound machines, yeah, so GE is going to charge me a premium price on all the service. But at the same time, there will be another company who's just doing ultrasound, but a little more basic pricing. So we look out, and say, okay, we get the, we look at the cost analysis, the cost benefits, and say, okay, this company is better. They do the same thing like GE is doing, and give them opportunity. And then we'll review it every year. So we'll see, okay, they are actually doing good. So we'll keep extending the contract. If they're doing bad, then we'll put it back to the main supplier again.
Okay,
so that is how external, yeah.
So that's how you take the contracts, maybe CMC like that. So sometimes you are taking from outside other than the direct company, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I want to ask. And again, we were talking about the job opportunities in UK. So what about the qualification you may recommend for biomedical engineers? Mostly people on an average basis, they will be having B.Tech. Those who are planning higher studies, they may have masters in biomedical engineering. And I know that you have done M.B.A also. So what do you recommend the best qualification level for a biomedical engineer?
I mean, it's very different to what I've seen back in India. Here I've seen they've called as HNC, HND. So HND is degree basically here. Yeah, and I've seen many people coming from HND to biomedical, here. But then because India, I think we actually learn a lot of things. Like, we always take degrees. We like taking masters, and we just keep studying so much. And the thing is, here I've seen people who are got interest in the field, they come in rather than qualification. So there's a big difference. Like, when you study and then you just say, okay, I've got masters now, I need to look for a job. The thing is, that is just the people mentality. But here what happens is, when somebody is just got like, okay, I've got interest in doing medical devices, I need to work, save lives, that is important here. And then what happens, they look, this way those people get more opportunity to come into it. It's about the passion. So when I look at the CV, for example, if I interview somebody, I always look for HND here, degree, or equivalent to that is biomedical engineering at least. So there is not necessary that you have to have a master's for getting in, because once you have a biomedical engineering and you got a bit of experience in the field, then the opportunity will be given. Or at least I'll try, because it depends on people leaving and stuff like that as well. But that's how it works.
And when I had a discussion, one of the person in UK, he was talking about the importance of certification, company training certification. So can you just explain about that? In India, I have seen people are not much bothered about that.
So it is, in this country, it is very important to have certification in certain devices. Like you mentioned, there are some people who say certificate is not important. I've seen here as well, like, because it's the people who come from outside, they say that. Like people from India and from Pakistan. When I've got a Pakistan manager here, he used to say that, oh, you don't need certification, you can do that. It's just a piece of device. Yeah, just look at the manufacturer and just do it. But then I think it's very important, because the reason is there is legal aspects of the device. So now the problem is basically, if I don't, for example, if I'm an aesthetic engineer, it's a high risk equipment. If I'm not technically trained from the manufacturer, I'm actually putting risk on the patient at the same time, and I'm putting risk on myself as well. Because the reason is, if I touch the machine and something goes wrong with the machine, you'll be actually called on the court of law here. And then what happens? They will say, "Have you got technical training?" And if you say, "No, I haven't got technical training," then you'll be probably in a big trouble here. So what I tend to do is, as a manager now, I try to send people for courses here. I mean, it is a cost simplification definitely, because you are like paying £1,000 for one technical course. Because most of the companies nowadays, they don't offer free courses anymore. They used to do it as part of the procurement. Like when you buy in load
Yeah.
equipment, they'll say, "Oh, we'll give you one training course. Here you go." But nowadays, service is another department, so they want to make money out of
Right.
it as well. So what they do is they always say to you, we can't offer you course, but we can give 50% discount.
Okay.
And then for £3,000, they'll say 1,500, and then you can send. So I always send people for training courses. So it's very important.
Yeah. And I know that you have done MBA in hospital management. So can you please explain your experience about that, or what are the subjects you are studying, or the opportunity we are having after doing MBA in healthcare management?
So MBA healthcare management is basically, it's a leadership course, yeah, and it's increasingly worldwide now. So it's getting important worldwide. So and it also helps the people to get into a management level in MBA. So and also like big organizations like NHS, and they have specific values and principles of care. So what they do is they actually take MBA trained people to understand how the NHS works, and also how basically the different finance and everything of the hospital works. So if you have got an MBA qualification, it is an added advantage in this country. So once you have like a degree, engineering degree, then and also on top of MBA, then your market gets bigger. So you can actually look for big MBA jobs out there. And and it's like, for example, what are the course which what some of the courses I did when I did my MBA was like managing finance, managing markets, managing informations, managing people. So all these were part of my courses. So that's kind of improving your quality as a manager, and to look after the staff. So that I think it's a very good course to definitely look into it.
Yeah. And I have done sessions on different higher studies courses in different countries, including Germany, Sweden, US, Canada, everything. So even recently, one of
Yes.
the query I received is there any possibility to do a master's online? Do you know any courses? Is it valid, first of all, or is there any opportunities we are having to study online?
Um, and for biomedical engineering, I'm not aware of any courses to do online. I have seen people who come into this country and then do a course here, because I think it's the what do you say, the dissertation work, the work after you finish the course. It has to be practical, so you have to be present in the country. I don't think I've seen any online courses. I might be wrong, because
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I've done 8 years ago.
right.
So
Okay. I know that you have done MSc from Germany. Can you just explain about the course you have done or your experience there?
So basically, the experience. So the important thing of biomedical masters in Germany is, I did biomedical engineering from India, Chennai. So I did from Chennai in Sathyabama University. So the thing is, the two different things are very different. So when you do engineering degree in India, you are just by heartly studying it, the whole course. So basically, I don't think anybody puts that much input in understanding the logic behind what you're studying. Yeah, because we just want to finish college somehow, get engineering certificate, and then look for a job. But then I don't think any people have that much of like logical experience. Because I've seen, to be honest with you, Sitar, I've seen people who come from India in UK, they've come here, they don't have any hands-on experience. So the thing is, they know about capacitors, resistors, and all the basic electronic components. When we start doing them, they don't know. They'll be like, okay, but we haven't done this in college, we haven't done this in university. So that is lacking. And what I've seen in masters in Germany is they actually give you that knowledge there. So everything is more logic. And when I was studying, I had a professor who was a signal processing professor. The interaction we have between them is like, basically he will ask me Viva questions on signal processing. In India, it is all written, it's just writing. But the thing is, and then you don't know what you're writing as well, to be honest, because you're just writing stories. But when you're doing Viva, they will ask you different lines and different things, and you can't bluff there. because you can't just say to him, okay, yeah, this is it. So it's very different. And initially, when I started in Germany, I struggled, to be honest with you, because the thing is, the way of complete electronics is completely different. And it's so the thing is, I think it's a good thing to go outside and learn like masters rather than doing masters in India itself. So it gives you understanding of what exactly the whole topic you're learning about as well.
Yeah.
So, and that is what I think.
And can you just explain about the university you did your master's and the course you
Yeah.
selected in Germany?
Yeah, so basically, I did my master's in a university called Luebeck. So it's part of the fringe of Germany. Basically, it's up towards north. So they had a university called University of Luebeck. So and they had a master's in so it is English basically, but they always ask you to learn German. It's a very you need to know German. The reason is it's just for interaction for people to go out because they only speak German there again. Some parts of Germany they speak English. They do speak English because it's becoming a multicultural kind of thing. But Lubeck is a bit more north, so they only speak German. And the thing is, if you know German, other good thing is you can get a job as well. Because again, one of the important things, and that is why I couldn't stay there. Because the reason is, I started studying German once I reached there after 1 year. And the thing is, you need to have like an A grade in all the German languages. If you don't know that, you what happens is it's difficult to get a job because most companies they say, do you speak German? I say no. Then sorry, we can't give you a job. So it is very important that you need to know German and then you go and then study the course as well. So the course might be in English, but it's an added advantage. And some of the courses which I did was basically like signal processing. Then we had courses like in imaging as well. Then there was robotics as well courses. And one of my professor who did robotics, there's a movie called Star Wars. He made the arm, the robotic arm. So he was he's a great professor basically. And the Germans are, as you know, Germans are very good in engineering. So and world class people in designing products research as well. So I think it's a good opportunity for people who want to think outside the box and go to a different country. And I think Germany is the best choice, to be honest.
Yeah, and I'm sure there will be people watching, maybe students will be there, maybe those who are planning higher studies and those who are looking for jobs also. What are the suggestions you are having after studying different countries and currently working in UK?
So my suggestion to all the students who are actually finished biomedical and who are planning to finish biomedical next year is always, I would say, is don't lose hope, because I've seen people come in the country and they lose hope quickly because it's like, oh, I've tried my best, I can't do this anymore, I will go back. But the thing is, always you should do the hard work. If you do the hard work, you will definitely reach there. And I think, from my experience, learning from, like in India, definitely you have the experience. Of course, you get that exposure. But if you've got definitely the money and also to go abroad and learn, it is a very good exposure you get because you are actually mingling with other multicultural people as well from different countries. So you know how biomedical engineers work in different countries, and that can give you an experience to actually learn from them. And also you could start looking for a job and say, okay, you know I've got this experience now, and I've got masters in biomedical, and also maybe MBA is also another good opportunity. So it is difficult because I know some people don't want to study more; they just want to finish biomedical, look for a job, get settled down. So that is, again, it's the personal choice. It's all personal how you want to do it. So
Yeah. So, and you were talking about this work culture in India, maybe UK. So, how do you look into this work culture, maybe in India and UK? What is the difference you feel?
So the work culture, because I haven't, to be honest with you, Sitar, I haven't worked in India, but I have actually known people who work there, and it's very different. And also the because here, like for example, UK, it's more about policies, regulations, standards, and all these kind of things, which I don't think might be there in India. I might be wrong because there will be certain regulations will be there, but here, you have to follow all these policies and procedures for to work. And that is very important. And I think that is what people struggle when they come here. They don't know these policies, they don't know the procedures. But then slowly, once you're in the country, after certain years, you will you will come to know, and you will definitely see the brighter side of things. So that's what I think it is.
Okay. Anyway, I think we have discussed a lot of fruitful information those biomedical engineers will be looking into. Thank you for sharing all this valuable knowledge and your valuable time. Thank you so much joining me today.
No, thank you, Sataf, for this opportunity as well, because I think it's a good the thing what you're doing for, so it gives the experience from other people's experience as well, which I think more people are happy to share, because
Yeah,
that's for other people look at it. And I think it's a wonderful job.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Yeah, thank you so much.